All right, so we said that an atom is made out of different parts, but now we have a question of what makes an atom a certain element. Why is this atom a hydrogen element? Why is this one a carbon? Why is this one a gold? Why is this one a silver? So our question is, what determines what element an atom is? And the answer to that question is that it's the number of protons only. Only the number of protons determines what element an atom is. The number of electrons, the number of neutrons does not matter when it comes to identifying what an atom is. Right? Is it a gold? Is it a silver? That kind of thing. So number of electrons / neutrons doesn't matter. Right? All that matters is the number of protons. And so we give the number of protons a special name and a special symbol, and it's called the atomic number. It gets the number Z, and the atomic number is equal to the number of protons. So when we're talking about chemistry, we're talking about the building blocks of matter, so we're talking about elements. A chemist's best friend and most useful tool is the periodic table of elements. So you definitely want to be comfortable with the periodic table. I like this website, ptable.com, shows you a lot of good stuff. So here's the periodic table of elements with all of the elements in the world. So let's just draw kind of an outline of it. Right, not the world's best outline, but you get the point. So when we're reading this periodic table left to right, line by line, we add one proton to the nucleus to change its identity. So when reading this left to right, line by line, add one proton to change the element. So if we look at our first element, it's hydrogen, and you see that 1 in the top left corner, that's the atomic number. And so that means it has one proton. So here we have H, this is hydrogen, and it has one proton. And so every single hydrogen in the universe only has one proton. If it has more than one proton, it is no longer a hydrogen. So let's read left to right, line by line. So we go from hydrogen, we jump over here to the right here to helium. Helium has 2 protons. So if you have an atom and it has 2 protons, it's a helium. Next up, we have lithium. So lithium has 3 protons. And then after that, beryllium has 4 protons. And then over here, boron has 5 protons, and so on and so forth. And so you can pick any element, and the number above it is the number of protons. So for example, tin over here has 50 protons. So over here would be kind of like lithium with its 3 protons. Up next is beryllium with 4 protons. And then after that comes boron with its 5 protons. And so again, it's the only thing that determines what an element is how many protons there are. And that's what this picture shows here. So on the left here, we have a helium balloon. And so this balloon is filled with helium atoms. How do you know it's a helium atom? Well, it has 2 protons, and helium always has 2 protons. In your pencil is some carbon. Your pencil's made out of carbon. How do you know it's a carbon? Well, it has 6 protons. Any element that has 6 protons is a carbon. And so on the periodic table, you see symbols like this. Like a carbon would have a C here, a 6 up here, and then a carbon down here. This number up top is the atomic number, which gets the symbol Z. This is the chemical symbol, which can be 1 to 3 letters, usually just 1 or 2 letters. The first letter is capitalized, the second letter is not capitalized. And then down here you have the name of the element. So that's carbon. Got another periodic table, a little more basic one that doesn't have a lot of extra information. So over here on the right, if we have Z equals 10, what element is that? If we have Z equals 18, what element is that? If we have krypton, what's its Z equal to? If we have a Z equals 10, what element is that? Oh, we already did 10, my bad. Or if we have lead, what Z value is that equal to? So go ahead, pause the video and take a look at these values and figure these answers out. All right, so hopefully you pause the video. Let's check out the answers. So if we have a Z equal to 10, that means we have 10 protons. And so we look over here, find 10, and we see that it's Ne, and that's neon. So if you have a Z equals 10, 10 protons, you're a neon atom. Next up, we have a Z equals 18. We find 18 over here, and we see that's Ar, or argon. So if you have 18 protons, you're an argon. Next up, we have Kr. So we try to find Kr on the periodic table, and we find out that that's krypton and that it has an atomic number of 36, or that it has 36 protons. Next up, we have lead, and so we try to find the name lead here. It's a little bit tricky because it's not always so obvious. If we look down here, lead actually gets the symbol Pb. So that's just something you have to kind of become familiar with. And so the symbol Pb, lead, has 82 protons in it. So this final picture here just shows you some common elements and their symbols. You'll see most of them kind of make sense. Aluminum gets Al, bromine gets Br, calcium gets Ca, carbon gets C, right? A lot of them make sense. Some of them don't make as much sense. Copper gets Cu. And then some of the other ones just don't make any sense at all because they come from different languages, right? Gold gets Au, mercury gets Hg, lead, we talked about earlier, gets Pb, potassium gets K, sodium gets Na. And so I do expect you to be able to recognize these elements just given their symbols. So look through the periodic table, find the funky ones, and then learn the funky ones.